Hi, today I'll be teaching you about switches. Switches are amazing things where it can take the program one way or another. Now, let's start a new project. We're going to add this nifty thing called the switch. Now, the first thing you'll notice is that there's a check mark and an X mark on it. And also, there's this option to add many different things. I'll explain those later. Most of them have to do with sensors. Now, let's select touch sensor, compare, and state. Now when that's selected, here you get an option that says not pressed, pressed, and bumped. So what this means that whenever it's pressed, the touch sensor, then it will go to the check mark. When it isn't pressed, it will go to the X mark. Now then, let's say if it is on check mark, it is pressed, then we'll add a sound and it'll be dog bark 1. So that means that whenever the touch sensor is pressed, it'll make the dog barking noise. Now, when it isn't pressed, we'll add this thing. Now this will turn on the light on your EV3 robot, and we're going to select the light instead of orange to be red. And let's have this be a true statement. So now when this is all done, what it'll do is that whenever it senses is touched, then it'll bark. When it isn't, then the light will be red. Now, this isn't all that you can do with the switch, so let's get rid of these two. And now these are all sensors here, most of them. There are some other things I'll be explaining in later videos. But color sensor, as you might have heard of, it can compare colors, reflected light, ambient light, or it could also measure the color. Now, I'm going to show you how measure color is a little bit different than comparing. So comparing works just like what I just showed you with the touch sensor, with the check mark and X mark, and you select which color, but this works differently. This works that if it sees a certain color, it will do this thing. If it doesn't see a certain color, if it does see another certain color, it will do the other thing. So let's select that one blue, and down here green. So whenever it's blue, it'll do the thing up there, and whenever it's green, it'll do the thing down there. So let's say when it's on blue, it will make cat purr noise. When it's on green, it'll make an elephant call noise. So now what's this little dot that says default case? What that means is that if it doesn't see neither green or blue, then it'll go to the default case. So when it's on blue, if it doesn't see blue or green, then it'll still do the blue. But then when it's on the green, then it'll still do what the green says, even though it doesn't see blue or green. Now, as you learned from this video, switches can drastically change a program's outcome. They can change one thing from another, and you can use many sensors to determine the outcome.